And I decided to turn on TV, and
President Biden and President Trump had a phone call tonight.
they talking about
that
Trump.
Has never happened between the two of them. And
Trump
so,
is a very lucky man. I respect Trump, and I hope
but the fact that they did have that
everything
phone call tonight,
will
and in
be
Donald
okay.
Trump's statement tonight,
And
he offered his condolences to the rally goer who was killed tonight, and to the other person who was critically injured. We've now learned a second person was also critically injured, and obviously you saw President Biden come out pretty quickly early on before he had left Rehoboth to come out and say that he had tried to get in touch with Trump. Those are moments that are also, I think, important for as we look of what others are saying on Twitter and online. And
two innocent people was hurt.
It is a moment to see them at least having that phone call.
Just as you're saying,
one of them dead.
I think about this event.
Or off-topic show would say unalived.
That continues to happen.
If he hadn't found out yet, he might be, but
it's innocent people.
He would go live.
Who are impacted. There was someone killed today who just was going to a political rally. Two people who are being described as critically injured. There are people who were there with their children, their families, their wives.
I just hope everybody's having a good day.
This is the consequence of all of this, and the target might have been former President Trump, but
I just have hope for everybody, and I hope that
their rights politically.
Prayers for everybody.
Like this, and it's so sobering for us to think about tonight.
Yeah. Tim Naftali, presidential historian. I mean, I don't know that it will change anything about rhetoric.
When I started praying, after I got a little older, I started praying to help the bad people make the right decisions too.
One would hope,
because those are the people that have the most problems.
One hopes
mentally.
Something good to come out.
And then they was talking about all the all the talking, like it ain't good to be talking so much about the other side. You're supposed to let the politicians do all the mudslinging, they're the ones that's supposed to be doing it. And a lot of the all of the news channels, the different ones, they are slinging lots of mud. And it ain't good. And I think they was trying to make that point a minute ago. But
so one can only hope that not just
I was just about to
tomorrow and during the two conventions
take a shower.
We see a recognition that enough is enough. The rhetoric's too heated. The pot is on the stove and the water is boiling. We have to dial it down.
Wolf, let's go back to you.
Good point, indeed, from Tim Naftali.
Yeah, because I had my TV on loud, I was playing PlayStation 2, and then I turned the news on, and it was really loud, and then all that stuff, and it's it's terrible. I don't like talking about it.
Now that the FBI is doing is to verify the identity of this person. They believe they know who it is. One of the questions I think that is on everyone's mind is, obviously we're now about almost 5 hours after this event, and we don't yet have an official name, a name from law enforcement of the name of the person who attempted, from what we can tell, an attempted assassination of the former president. So that is one of the questions right now that is obviously on everyone's mind. What we're told is that the alleged shooter, the suspected shooter, wasn't carrying identification on them. And so that's adding to some of the extra work that law enforcement has to do to try to verify and make sure they know who this person is. And of course, the work that now begins to try to identify what the motivation is. I know, I think for people online, sometimes everyone wants to jump to the conclusions of what they think they see based on what the videos are showing and so on. But law enforcement moves a little more methodically. They need to know, they need to preserve the evidence, and they also need to get search warrants. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes by the FBI to try to make sure they understand exactly what happened here, and to explain to the public exactly how this went down. And so that's the work that's going on behind the scenes. Again, we're told right now they know who this person is, or they believe they know who this person is that attempted to fire those shots.
Yeah, what's up, Ugly and Proud?
Former president at that rally.
What's my favorite Cosmic Brownie? I don't know. Is that a series?
Evan, stand by. We'll get back to you. I want to go to John Miller right now. He's getting some more information as well. What are you learning, John?
Yo, what up, Butter VR?
We're told that the FBI has the identity, what they believe to be the identity of the suspected shooter. He's a young man, approximately 20 years old, who apparently grew up and lives in a Pennsylvania town, not terribly far away, and they are in the process of going through that. We are not going to be going with any further information about him until they are finished confirming that they have the right suspect or put that name out. But they're very confident that they have identified who he is as a 20-year-old Pennsylvania man.
We'll wait and see. Presumably, it won't take.
He
very
just
long
said it
to
was a
understand
20-year-old.
the name of this individual and some more information about this individual. I thought it was interesting, John. I want to get your reaction. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, just issued a statement vowing there will be what he calls a full investigation of this assassination attempt in the House of Representatives. He says this: the American people deserve to know the truth. We will have Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle and other appropriate officials from the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI appear for a hearing before our committee ASAP. I know
Shit's
there's been a full
traumatizing.
investigation by the FBI as well. So give us a sense. Who goes first, the FBI, the House of Representatives? How do you see this unfolding?
Well, speaking as a former member of law enforcement, to drag this at an early stage into the political arena, as is being suggested by dragging the Secret Service director before a House committee, even as the facts are still being gathered, while the criminal matter is still at its earliest stages, before the comprehensive investigation has been launched into what happened, strikes me as pure politics and the kind of thing that actually interferes with the more important job of getting the real answers, capturing it as evidence that is presentable and collected the right way without
Oh boy.
without the color of politics affecting it.
Yeah, they need a full-scale investigation, but they clearly don't need it to be political. Good point indeed, John. Thank you very, very much. Anderson, back to you.
Wolf, as you know, three
Prayers.
former presidents have weighed in tonight. This from former President Clinton, quoting, "Violence has no place in America, especially in our political process. Hillary and I are thankful that President Trump is safe, heartbroken for all those affected by the attack at today's rally in Pennsylvania, and grateful for the swift action of the U.S. Secret Service." From former President George W. Bush, quoting, "Laura and I are grateful that President Trump is safe following the cowardly attack on his life, and we commend the men and women of the Secret Service for their speedy response." And this from former President Obama.
They're
"There is
tweeting on
absolutely no place
X.
for political violence in a democracy. Though we don't yet know exactly what happened, we should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt, and use this moment to recommit ourselves to civility and respect in our politics. Michelle and I are wishing him a quick recovery." Back with Scott Jennings, Van Jones, and Tim Naftali. Van, we haven't heard from you this evening.
Oh boy.
I'm so glad that Donald Trump is alive.
It's a terrible
I'm so
day in
glad.
America,
I'm
and
so glad he's alive.
it could be a lot worse.
I'm so glad his family is not having to bury a father and a grandfather. And this is a moment that I think people who want to defeat him remind ourselves, you can defeat him with ballots. You don't need bullets. You don't need vitriol. You don't need any of this stuff. This is a time where we can get off of this train. I've been hearing from people who are scared tonight. They're scared that this is the beginning of some new tit-for-tat violence, that we're spiraling away from each other. And
They talk
I think
too
it's
much
time for us
trash
to
on the
listen.
news.
Gabby Giffords was shot in 2011. Democratic Congresswoman. Steve Scalise got shot 2017. We kept ratcheting it up. Gretchen Whitmer was almost kidnapped 2020. Kept ratcheting it up. She's a Democrat. Paul Pelosi attacked with a hammer 2022. More violence. We keep ratcheting it up. And now Donald Trump, almost assassinated, comes within a quarter of an inch of being assassinated in 2024.
These young ones can't handle it. These young ones,
if you have somebody in your life who
people's brains ain't fully developed until they're like 25, 28
Or loves different,
years old.
or looks different, text them
I know I really didn't feel like I was a grown man until I was at least 30,
Wake up call for everyone.
31.
We got to put our arms around each other. We can vote against each other. We don't have to hate each other.
The beginning of the end is 34 for sure.
That we could
But,
have lost a leader who's important.
There's so much we can do
Who's beloved by half this country.
within the rest of our lifespan.
Maybe feeling the need to shoot back. And where would we be? Where would we be? So this is the moment for everybody to look in the mirror. I am so glad that Donald Trump is alive tonight.
Scott Jennings?
Yeah, I just want to echo much of what Man just said, because, you know, I was very angry when I saw this news earlier. I wasn't really angry as a Republican, though. I was angry as an American, because I view this as a direct attack on our democracy. And regardless of who you support, or who you don't like, or who you like, we're all in the democracy together. And whether you like it or not, Donald Trump is the most likely next president of the United States, according to the polls right now. He is an important person in our civic life and in our political affairs. So I view this as a direct attack on our democracy. It makes me angry for him, for his family, for everyone that was at that rally. It makes me angry for everyone who is an active participant in our politics. And I think, to echo what Dan said, the way you overcome extremism and the way you overcome people who would commit violent acts is by participating more in our democracy, by using speech appropriately, by voting, by doing the things that make our democracy healthy and vibrant, and stop doing the things that make it the opposite, because that's where we are right now. We're in the opposite place. But we are at a moment where we can get off the train, as Van said, and get on a path that would make this democracy far healthier than it is right now. Whoever wins this election, Donald Trump or Joe Biden, our country is not going to come to an end. Our Constitution is not going to be destroyed. We are not going to see things dissolve in this country. We have elections every 2 and 4 years. The country will not end. Get out and participate. Do what you do. Support your candidate. But ballots and speech are the way forward. Not violence, not bullets, and not telling your friends and neighbors that our country is going to come to an end. That has concern.
Yeah, he's pointing the finger at how, like, those other people saying that if you know, he's elected, that it would be the end of democracy and stuff like that. Like, I haven't believed that either, but I mean, it just,
And tonight, as both
they're trying to console the viewers about
we came very
what's going on.
close to something that would have set us on a very dangerous path. We're still on a dangerous path. We're in a very fragile moment in our history. And this is a time for really deep thinking on the part of influencers and opinion makers.
Influencers,
I
yeah.
on social media, lurid conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
about
social
what
media
happened
conspiracy
and what
theories
might happen today.
and stuff. It
We do
just,
need to learn more.
it's like never ending.
about what went wrong. But we should remember that the former president himself thanked the Secret Service for doing what it could to save his life, to protect him. This is a time to be very careful about what we say about our institutions. This is a time to stop hating each other. This is a time to stop allowing poison to explain things that are difficult to understand. I'm not sure how you do that as a country, but I do know that there are a lot of folks out there that have a lot of people who listen to them. And if there were ever a time in our modern history for those who
I mean, Jesus Christ,
to dial it down,
Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, Trump signed the Farm Bill. That's why people have weed.
more important than anything else, and that poison and hatred at this moment is not a sign of patriotism, however devoted you are to one side or another.
President Biden boarding the Air Force One at Dover Air Force Base. He was in Delaware when this occurred, the attack.
And like I saw Joe Biden say that
Go back to you.
he don't believe anybody should go to jail for nonviolent drug,
To be at the White House for full briefings right now on what happened.
for
Jamie,
having drugs,
we've been getting a lot of monitoring a lot of
minor
from partisans
drugs.
on both sides, that the angry rhetoric that we've been hearing from both sides.
They're both good people, in my opinion.
Well, if you look at social media, it's not coming down at all, but I think that tonight, as we've heard.
But anyways, how are y'all doing?
Our air from both sides of the political spectrum, that's what everybody wants. And certainly, we heard from former presidents, Democrats, Republicans asking for that. I was just reading former Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, as one whose family has been the victim of political violence, I know firsthand that political violence of any kind has no place in our society. I thank God the former President Trump is safe. So hopefully expressions like that will win the day, but we are in very polarized times.
Yeah, I thank God that former President Trump is safe as well. Do you want to make a quick point?
Well, I was just going to go back to what Caitlin and Jeff Zeleny are reporting about Trump's fear of something happening to him at an event like this, which is understandable for anybody who is in that level of scrutiny, and anybody running for president, no matter who you are. But one of the things that is really striking, I'm looking at Chris LaCivita, who's one of the people running Donald Trump's campaign, and he has a photo up, one of the remarkable photos taken of this moment, where Donald Trump has his hand, his fist up, and there's an American flag behind him. And LaCivita says, now this is some real Iwo Jima shit right here. And it was really striking to me because it made me think about that moment when the Secret Service had him on the ground. And because the microphone was still on, we heard him saying, when they were getting him up, first of all, he was looking for his shoe. And then we heard him say, wait. He is such a, he's been in television and in the public eye for so long that his instinct was not to have the imagery of him on the ground and then being whisked off. I know that, Jamie, there's some questions about whether just from a security standpoint that was protocol, but just from the political imagery of it all, the fact that he had the presence of mind to want to say fight, to put up his fist, and to have those images be the ones that are there, not just for today, not just for the rest of this campaign, but for history, is really striking.
Indeed. We're getting word, by the way, from authorities in Buckland, Pennsylvania, where this rally was taking place, about a press briefing to occur in about 15 minutes or so from now, maybe even sooner, with the FBI and Secret Service taking part in this upcoming press briefing. We will, of course, bring it to you live once it happens. And Pamela Brown, I know you're working your sources. You're getting a lot of reaction. What else is there?
Yeah, we're also just hearing from the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro, who says that former President Trump has now left the Butler area. So he tweeted that out. I was just going back and looking at what officials have said. The FBI director, for example, Christopher Wray, in the warnings from them, and just in December 23rd, it was December of 2023, he said, domestic terrorism claims have more than doubled since the spring of 2020. You have law enforcement officials have been raising the alarm about this concern. Of course, we're still learning more about this gunman and his motives. Of course, one might assume it was political. There's still more to learn. But I've been talking to my sources. This is what exactly fearful of. What they've been so concerned about. You have the FBI director, Christopher Wray, sounding the alarm about how much domestic terrorism has increased, and the concern about lone actors that are hard to identify. It's hard to intervene and to stop them before something like what happened today happened, right? And in this case, as we heard from John Miller, from what authorities think is the gunman and what they know now, we're keeping it vague, but someone who's 20 years old, he grew up around the area, like young person, goes there today and, almost changed the course of history, almost killed the former president. I mean, let's just take a step back and think about that, right? It's
Another inch in
remarkable.
one direction, that bullet could have gone through his skull.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say remarkable. I mean, it's horrific. It's a tragedy that happened today. You had a spectator who
Who's 20?
probably woke up today excited to go to this Trump rally, participate in the democratic process, who lost his or her life. You have two others critically wounded. This is a really sad day for this country, and I think we are all still processing what this means and the change that this means for the future, as well as Abby eloquently talked about earlier.
And as I'm sure you and I remember, during testimony before Congress, the FBI,
They keep showing those pictures over and over again.
law enforcement agencies have all said their greatest fear right now seems to be this lone actor, this lone individual who, for whatever crazy reason,
They're gonna go nonstop for like 3 days.
And I remember I did a sit-down interview with
All the
Senator
media.
in the Senate, and she told me this was just a couple of years ago, but I've heard this consistently since. The political rhetoric was, in her view, causing an uptick in threats to members of Congress.
It's the first thing I see on YouTube when I opened it up.
She was sounding the alarm about this. This was after January 6th. And sources I talked to in the law enforcement community say that
Man, you even got these channels from other parts of the world.
And look, we
Just-
still have a few months until November, and it's not like November, that concern just.
Like those Indian channels.
We are in a pivotal moment in this country. And
We on?
Right now, what happened today is a reminder of that and the need to tone it down.
and we'll be learning a lot more in the next few minutes when this briefing takes place with the FBI and Secret Service and others that will be briefing on what they know right now, and what they know right now may be different than what they know 24 hours from now. But we'll of course have live coverage of that. That's coming up.
Oh, boy.
For this press briefing, it'll be very important. We'll have live coverage right here on CNN. Caitlin Collins has some new reporting, and she's joining us right now with Abby Phillip. Caitlin?
Yeah, well, obviously, the moment that you see there and the people who surrounded Donald Trump immediately as these shots were going off were his Secret Service.
Can't trust some crazy people, man. They believe the stupidest shit.
It is a political event or to his private clubs. They are always there. They have been since November of 2015 when he was a candidate and he first got Secret Service protection. Obviously, as Abby referenced earlier, not all not all candidates.
Dumb
get
people are
Secret
easily
Service
influenced.
protection. Who warrant it certainly do, and there's a threshold for that. I am, and former presidents do as well. And of course, he is a
It's happened to
candidate.
me.
He also
That's
do
why I
that.
feel stupid.
And there's been this
Like,
thing populating online tonight as we are watching this, where there's a rumor of people claiming that Trump has been denied requests to amplify his Secret Service. I am actually told that is not true. I am told by a source familiar that Donald Trump's Secret
Just,
Service protection was recently strengthened, actually. Which
Trust too
speaks
much.
to, one, it's not clear if that was because of any threats or anything like that, or simply because of the nature that he is set to formally this week become the presumptive Republican nominee, and then of course.
So y'all don't trust so much what people say on
But it does speak
social
to
media.
what we've seen tonight.
A bunch of these talking heads, you can't really believe everything they say because, like what they keep saying on TV, the expression of speech, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like what that means is
Luckily, he is
just
okay and safe, but obviously
let it soak in and, like just let it pass you by for a little while your mind can process and like, you know what I'm saying, like understand the different levels of possibility.
Well, and we're seeing rhetoric like that tonight from people like Senator J.D.
But,
Vance, who's talking about.
Yeah, people do exaggerate a lot these days. It's not exaggerate, but I don't know. It's kind of funny, but it becomes a part of your character.
He loves his Secret Service.
But,
every president, I think, obviously has concerns for their safety, rightfully so, as we are watching play out tonight. But Donald
It's
Trump
hard to
has
talk.
always had a good relationship with his Secret
The man in the
Service.
glasses there is the one who's sitting up.
True
Trial in
true speech, like true nature of a person that has gab, that can talk is talent. It's talent that you're born with.
Agents that travel.
They can teach you how to talk.
If you're a reporter out on the the south
But-
lawn of the president when he's exiting the Oval Office. There's two standing right
True.
in front of you, there's two behind you, there's two over there, and that's when you're on the White House.
True character
There's also snipers,
matters.
the counter snipers on the roof to look at as well. I mean, obviously, any reporter or photographer, anyone who's
Anybody could just read something on a screen, you know what I'm saying?
sees the Secret Service immediately. But it is notable to
Like, do you even care about their opinion? That's probably not their opinion. Whose opinion is it that they're reading?
Conspiracies that are already circulating online, which should be ignored and obviously corrected. But two, just the nature of the gravity of this campaign and how it's been playing out. The fact that he does have more agents actually around him right now.
And Trump, it's based on the threat level, so in large part, and Trump is always someone who's had a high level of threats around him, so it should not be surprising to people that the protection of Secret Service, especially as he's about to be officially the nominee, is going to increase, and this idea that suddenly it would be peeled back arbitrarily is just not how any of this works. The Secret Service, they take their job seriously. Trump is both a candidate and a former president, which affords him Secret Service protection in both cases. And as Caitlin was saying, I mean, these are people that he knows. A lot of times they are people who have been with him for a long time, who are around him, who he trusts. The people who are the closest physically to the president are people that he needs to trust, and that he needs to know on a very deeply personal level, because they are so close to him at all moments of his life. And so, you know, watching this play out is what you're seeing on the screen. They are people who know to listen to him. They paused at that moment when he went to address the crowd. It's really an extraordinary moment. I also think, Anderson, about listening to that crowd roar back at Trump at such a dangerous time. I mean, all of these people are at risk in that moment, and they responded to him at that time, and I think that that's going to go down as one of those iconic moments in American history when we look back on this. I don't think we've really seen anything quite like
I
that.
mean, it shows you his skill and his knowledge of and his almost instinct. I mean, it is instinctive understanding of the importance of images and moments, and he did not want that image of him being hustled out to be the image. He wanted it to be, you know, taking a moment to, you know, have a fist in the air, say fight, fight, fight.
I mean, Donald Trump is a politician, obviously, regardless if you like him or do not like him, that understands his supporters and his base better than anyone. And to take that moment, I mean, Trump is probably his truest self when he's on stage at these crowds and he's interacting with his supporters and feeding off of them, and he will test lines out on them and see what's popular, what's not. We're in the middle of the vice presidential pick of week that he's